What'd you have this morning?
I had Madeline Fitzsimmons on. You know who that is?
Uh-uh.
She owns a couple of businesses downtown here. She owns Millennial Decor.
Okay.
And she owns Trophies, the coffee shop.
Okay.
Which was where Goodies used to be.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yep.
So both those are right next to each other. She's a pretty good shit. She's a millennial, which is why everything's called like Millennial Decor. And like Trophies is like her slogan on Trophies is not just something like everybody deserves an award, not just millennials.
Okay. That's funny.
But Tyler Reed, thanks for doing this, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
Honestly, this is how I do it too. I just seems like you'd be somebody I'd want to talk to.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I don't.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the opportunity and checking out the show, and like to get to know everybody around the area. That's awesome.
So, are you from Manistee?
Not originally. I'm born and raised Ludington.
I won't hold that against you.
No, I know. I was wondering when that was going to come up. But no, my dad is raised Manistee, graduated from Manistee. Mom was from Ludington. He wanted to live up here. She wanted to live down there, so they compromised and moved down there. And live in Free Soil now, so just across the county line. But spent a lot of time in Manistee fishing and hunting growing up. And
you just got on the sports fishing?
Yeah.
Well, what is that?
Manistee County Sports Fishing Association.
Yeah.
Was just elected to the board there. Looking forward to just joining some buddies that I have on there that really just are passionate about the sport of fishing and the preservation of the sport of fishing, and we're going to really promote it and do some tournaments and some fun fishing tournaments and really just kind of get people involved. That's not how I pay my bills, but it's how I spend my weekends, and I just have always been really passionate about it, so I'm excited for that opportunity, for sure.
You spend your weekends playing music, though, too, don't you?
I do. I don't let a lot of grass grow under my feet. I like to keep moving. I play lots of music. I've been in a band called the Whiskey Rebels for 13 years, and not as active as what we used to be. When I when I first came back home to Manistee, that's what I was doing. I left the oil industry and was pursuing music and doing some side work at Parkdale Auto, and then the car sales. I fell into the car sales, and it just took off from there. And now that's really consumed my time.
What were you doing in oil?
I was a project manager for Western Land Services out of Ludington. At the time, I was in Pennsylvania and really just setting up drill units and leases.
Like directional drilling and shit?
Yeah, some of it, yep. A lot of it right now is pipelines, was what we were working on out there. And then before that, like power line right away for Wolverine Power, making sure we could have the right access to get power lines where we needed to. Now it's my understanding, I've been in here in Manistee now for 9 years, but they're doing a lot of solar and wind energy now.
Yeah, we'll see how well that takes off.
Money's getting spent. We'll see what happens. You know? I don't know. Everybody's got their own opinion on that. But
well, yeah, we won't go down there.
Yeah. But no, playing music on the weekends, that's, one thing feeds the bank account and the other feeds the soul, and music is definitely that for me. I've grown up around music my whole life. Was a radio DJ for a few years, and then a wedding DJ for a lot of years. And
radio DJ where?
At WMOM in Ludington.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was. I ran the top 8 at 8. That would have been back about 17 years ago, and had a lot of fun with it.
I bet.
Did sports roundup show on Saturday morning with my dad. It was kind of like before ESPN had all their XM radio shows. That was our version of it, and I love everything music, all genres. Just love everything about it.
How come you got out of the radio business? Well, no money in it.
That was part of it. Honest to God, like if money was no object, that's what I would love to do. I talk with Sandstead all the time about his love for it, and it's
Mark's
cool.
Good shit.
Yeah, oh God, great.
That fucker's got like an amazing Rolodex of contacts throughout the state of Michigan and beyond for music. It's nuts, dude.
You're not kidding. Like the more he starts talking, the more I'm intrigued by what he's got going on. Because
I got to have him back on the podcast because we talked at length, but when we were done, he's like, "Dude, I've got so many stories."
Oh,
and I thought we were we didn't even scratch the surface. We just kind of talked from like the beginning to now. But he's got stories from bands and partying and shit. That's just.
I got a lot of Sandstead stories too. He is good shit. You know, he's been one of my big guys that really has kind of like taken me under their wing in the business world of Manistee, and I really appreciate him for that. But yeah, the music side of it, we both share a lot of love for all types of music. You know, I mean, him and I'll go from listening to a Tom Petty song to a Sophistafunk song like nothing, and I just love that about him. So. Yeah, he is very well rooted in that.
But you said that you're not really doing a whole lot of the band stuff, but I feel like that's the one thing that I'm seeing you doing the most of lately.
Yeah.
It seems like within the last year you're popping up here and there.
We're picking it back up. You know, Rob kind of pulled me out of retirement. Rob from Doc Sable Bar there. Yeah. I live right down the road, and he had caught wind that I played music, and so I started doing some acoustic stuff there, and that kind of lit the fire back again, and the band just kind of expanded. You know, Jared, my guitar player, he's building hospitals. He lives down in Holland. He built the hospital here in Manistee, that new building that Munson put in, and so he's busy. And then Dave is being Dave. He's got kids and a mechanic. He's running all over the place down in Montague. And then Jason, he works for C&I Electric out of Ludington, and he's busy raising a son. And we're just not young and as wild as we used to be. It's like a Bryan Adams song. Yeah, you know, we're growing up a little bit, and yeah, it is like the Bryan Adams song. You know, we always joke, we always change the lyrics to Cody quit and Blake got married, and those were the original two guys with Jared and I. But yeah, music for me was always a lot of fun. It was networking. I've always loved meeting new people and getting to travel places and go see other things. And the tough part was you were relying on 3 other people to have that same drive, and that was where we never could really line up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, and I've always been pretty money motivated, so I hand it to the people that, you know, go and really play for the love of it and starve doing it, and that's really what it takes in a lot of instances to get to that next level. And I never went there, so that's okay. I love playing around here. You know, playing with the band is a whole different element than playing acoustically. I actually enjoy the acoustic side a lot because I get to play a lot of variety. But the band and the full show, I mean, we played Little River a couple weeks ago, and it's just, that environment never gets old. The adrenaline of that, it never stops. So I always leave wanting more.
Where are you playing in there?
What's that?
When you were up at the casino, are you playing like,
we were in the event center.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, yep. We were up there. Now they're building off some side room, one of the smoking rooms where they would have DJs every now and again. They're building that up to be the weekend regular entertainment spot. I think mainly because, like, when we played, there was 500-600 people there. And
that's got to be fucking...
You wouldn't even know, though. I mean, because that event center's so big, you know, you wouldn't even know. It takes a couple thousand people to really make that place look packed. So I think their main goal is to build out that side room to accommodate 500-600 people, and then it would be really full and flourishing at that point.
Yeah.
That's
what I mean. Did they just reach out to you, or is that something you're like, hey, I want to play out there? Or?
We played there years ago, back when it was River Rock Sports Bar, and hadn't played since pre-COVID. And so I just sent Robin an email and said, hey, are you guys booking anymore? And they were. So we played that show last minute. They had a cancellation, and now I think we're going to try to play 2-3 shows there in 24. So that'll be fun. We've got some other shows, playing Whiskey Creek Campground. The Manistee 350 Club, they booked us for St. Patrick's Day weekend at the VFW. So we're going to play that fundraiser and try to make that a party for them. That way they can raise some money for the kids. So that'd be cool.
What got you and your family into the car business?
Well, my dad has done a lot of things. He was a builder for a lot of years. He got into radio after he got out of building. And really, I think he got out of building just because of the hours. He was working a lot and had my sisters to raise. He had a friend that owned a repair shop in Ludington, and he had asked him to come manage it, and so he started to work there, and then ultimately that friend opened up a business in Manistee. That was called Manistee Car Care. It was right across, when you cross the 31 bridge, there used to be that little glass building, 2-bay gas station there. Mm-hmm. That was where he started in Manistee Car Care. From there, he moved to where Conrad's is now, next to Tangled Tackle. Used to be Family Tire. And in 2011, he branched off on his own and started Parkdale Auto out in Parkdale with Dave Solberg from Solberg Marina and Diner 31. Well, back then it was Captain's Corner.
Yeah.
But he started that, and they started that together, and the rest is kind of history. I came there in 2014. Just was tired of being on the road. I was on the road over 300 days the last year that I worked for that company, and decided to come home and was hired on for business development, and that's kind of what I've been doing there ever since. Kept having people wanting to sell us their car. You come in, you got a car that's worth $3,000 and it needs $2,000 worth of repairs. Oftentimes, you're probably not going to stick that money into it. So quickly I had to get a dealer's license because I think the state legal limit without it is like 6 or 7 cars. So we went and did that, and just kind of started to dabble in car sales, and then I learned that I enjoyed it. I'm very ADHD, so buying vehicles, especially even in an auction setting, is very enjoyable for me. It's very fast-paced. I've always been a numbers guy. I like quick numbers. And, we just started doing that, and now I've gained a rapport with a bunch of other dealerships in the state, and so I do wholesaling, I do retail side of it, I do a little bit of everything, but we really like to focus on the blue-collar cars. That's what I call them, under $20,000. Just especially now with interest rates being what they are, that seems to be really popular. People who would typically buy a $30,000, $40,000 car might say, I'm going to drive a $25,000 car for the next few years. Dumb, dude. Yeah, it's gotten crazy. And it's been a while. So I've been there 9 years. Car sales has been for 8 years, roughly. And it's been a wild 8 years. COVID was nuts.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because it seemed like, I've been in the car business myself.
Okay, yeah.
And watching you guys kind of come up from a building.
Yep.
Having used cars for sale that you were buying, to putting out like all this pavement.
Yeah.
And then filling it up with cars.
Yep. And
then COVID hits. Everybody loses their fucking mind for about a year and a half.
Not kidding. You hit it spot on. I mean, we started with some cars up on the grass originally, and then I spent one winter cutting trees down.
Yeah.
And we put the asphalt out there. That was the first big major investment. In my young age, I had no idea how much asphalt costs.
Yeah.
And that's been a wild ride. And then we added the lights, and so we had all that investment. And I was actually ramping up for tax season when COVID hit, and I had more cars than I had ever had to date in inventory. I think I had right around 65 units on the ground, and then COVID hits, and can't sell cars off the lot. Auctions are closed, so you can't go off them at the auction. I had a pretty good floor plan going on, so I'm fortunate there. West Shore Bank really helped me out through that, but the stress of that was wild. I had never not worked in my being since I was 12 years old, so to be able to be told you can't go to work and can't sell cars.
Well, you're not essential.
Well, and that was where the goofy part was, I had a 10-car rental fleet at the time.
Yeah.
And so that was a gray area, and then you're trying to navigate, 12, 15 employees and their questions and what they're thinking. Half of our business was deemed essential, half of it wasn't.
What was essential?
The service shop.
Okay, that makes sense.
At the time, we were doing all the sheriff's vehicles, and so then we worked with another company to come up with a sanitization process for that. And so that was wild. And then the ambulances, we do a lot of work on the ambulances for the hospital, and the prison, we do the prison vehicles. But that's what kept us essential. But even then, there was really no playbook. We worked back and forth with Nate from Manistee Tire to just kind of say, hey, here's how we think we should navigate this. And it worked out. Luckily, we had just gone to a program called Bolt-On right before COVID. And it was actually a blessing in disguise, because what that is you bring your vehicle in and you say, hey, I think I got a wheel bearing going bad or whatever. Yeah. We're able to now, instead of having a written work order like we used to, every technician has a tablet, They go back, they see the work order, they diagnose the issue. They can take a video of your bad wheel bearing and show you the play in it, and then we can send you an invoice with that video right to your cell phone. That was something that I was really pushing for pre-COVID, just because I've always been the driving force of trying to get to that newer, we were just talking about millennials and how they keep kind of pushing the envelope of what the new norm is. And that was one area that I was really pushing. Scott and my dad are of the older generation, and it was pen and paper and lost work orders and clipboards. And now we laugh. Here we are, sure. 5 years later, because we're like, how did we ever do that? But that really set us up, because one of the other reasons for that software is, by law in the state of Michigan, for a repair shop, if you come in and I tell you your repair is going to be $300, but we get in there and find that it's now going to be like $385, anything over $50 more than that estimate, we have to get written or now verbal approval. They actually just kind of loosen that up a little bit, but we had to have written approval. So
from the customer? From the customer,
yeah. So either an email, a text, or actual physical signed estimate. So that's why we did that initially, was to try and kind of be ahead of the curve of that. Well, that turned out to be a blessing in disguise when COVID hit, because we were then able to lock down our office, have a drop box. People would drop their keys. We could sanitize the keys before they came in. We could communicate pretty much all. Looking back now, the hoops that we had to go through, dude, it's just such bullshit, But I just whatever, We played the game and we made it work, and and then fast forward, we were trying to off cars and we couldn't. And now, if knowing what I know now, I would have leveraged everything I had, and I would have bought as many cars as I could have, because one day when we got back open and COVID money was hitting and all the stimulus money and, the COVID bucks is what we were calling it.
Yeah, people had money to spend.
And they were spending it. And, we watched book values on vehicles go up $4,000 or $5,000. And so now what that's done is it opened my eyes that if it could go that way, that it could go the other way, right?
Right.
And so through a lot of this last year and a half, 2 years, people are like, you don't have as many cars as you once had. And I said, well, that's kind of by design. And I'm glad I did that, because roughly, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, book values dropped about $3,000 a car. Mainly on the late model stuff, your off-lease units, that sort of thing. And some of my buddies that I buy vehicles with that have, 300 to 500 cars in inventory at any given time, they were really, really stressing. I was doing okay at 23 cars.
Sure.
So I don't know future-wise how big I want to get. I've really just now have stepped into the service role a little bit more. My dad's in the process of retiring, so I'm buying him out.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Trying to pass the torch and carry on what he started, but really just kind of hone in on what I want the business to look like. It's amazing to me that he's been up there that long, and how many times we have people come in and go, we didn't even know you did repair, and so we don't spend a ton of money on advertising for that. It's a lot of word of mouth. A majority of our advertising is our Charity of the Month program through the sales side, and so my goal for 2024 is to really just kind of start to get the word out there about our service team. I'm really proud of the guys that we have. They've done a lot of work to go get certified and keep up with technology, because let's face it, nothing is getting easier to work on.
A computer engineer these days.
We call them techtricians. They're basically an electrician and a technician. It's not fun to have Miss Jones or whoever come in and say, I need my light bulb changed, and me have to tell them, well, it's going to be 4.5 hours because we have to take the front bumper cover off to get to it. It's just dumb. But, so I'm proud of them for that, and we're getting really good processes in place, and they see a lot of challenges. I've had some mechanics come in throughout the years that were really, really solid mechanics, but they had worked at one brand for so long that when I threw them a Nissan or a Subaru or a Toyota, which I love foreign vehicles, that's one of the things that's really changed for me in the last 9 years. Coming from the oil business, if it wasn't a Chevy, Dodge, or Ford, I wasn't buying it.
Sure.
And now my outlook on that is completely opposite. But these guys we work on all makes and models, and now we've invested a ton of money into equipment to be able to stay up with the computer side of it. And that's kind of our goal now, is just to really be well-rounded and be as fair as you can. I mean, I tell people all the time we're like car doctors, but the patients can't talk, and so that makes things a little difficult. But it's just growing it organically and trying to provide a fair, honest service. And one of our main slogans that we have on all of our ads, and we have it on our wall in the shop, is it's not what we do, it's what else we do. And my vision behind that is, anybody can go buy a building and buy tools and hire people and try to put a business together. But our goal is to fix cars fairly and honestly, but also be able to have a good impact on the community. And that was one thing that got me interested in doing this podcast, is I've watched a lot of what you guys have done with, the different running events that you have. I'm not well versed in them because I'm not a big runner myself. But, I think we need more people to step up and help change the community, because we have a great community here. We really do. We really do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it just, to speak to that a little bit, it's just, there are doers, and then there's people that talk about the doers.
Yeah.
Like my wife will say sometimes, like, "God, do you really need to do like one more thing?" And I'm like, "Well, who the fuck is gonna do it?"
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like if you have the opportunity to do something and the want to do it, you should do it. You should try.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is. Like, for example, when you do the your monthly donations.
Yeah.
In the support you're giving the community that way. Like, where did that come from?
Honestly, I really don't know. I went to it, the whole "it's not what we do, it's what else we do" came from a guy named Bob Cooper from California that spoke at a seminar that I was at. And I just started to think of different ways we could impact the community. My grandmother is from Manistee. She is very instrumental in like the Safe Harbor Homeless Shelter and Cove and the Pregnancy Center.
Those are great organizations,
just,
dude.
They're so underfunded. There's usually behind the scenes, there's people just working their ass off that just don't get any sort of credit or any sort of help, and that's not why they're doing it, and that's why they're still successful. But just watching her throughout the years kind of led to that. She would always, reach out for a donation here or there, and so I just kind of came up with one day, let's do $50 a car. We'll raise money that way. Ended up turning it to $100 a car, and it's just kind of spiraled from there. But what was really cool about it is I've learned more about charities I didn't even know existed in the area, and so now it's not only about the actual financial donation, but trying to raise some awareness for these causes that are out there, So like last month was Safe Harbor Homeless Shelter, and we kind of bop around. We try to keep it local as possible, mainly Manistee, Mason County, but certainly we do some stuff outside of that. We partner with Folds of Honor. Doug Bell, who was up here at Manistee National for a lot of years, we've worked with him a lot now, and we'll always do a month for them. But the Lakeshore Children's Advocacy Center, there's just a lot of great resources in the area that, especially during COVID, when everybody was staying home, it was interesting to see the impact that those places were making, because kids weren't going to school as much. It was all virtual. And so I think you're spot on. I mean, those type of resources in the community need it. And if everybody could talk about doing something, but if someone's going to say, you know what, I'm going to freaking do something about this, that's what it takes to really get it off the ground.
Yeah, it really does. Volunteering, just that. I mean, if anybody's listening to this right now, and you're thinking about something that you should do or could do to help the communities, just volunteer for something.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be financial.
No, and that, honestly, a lot of times I wish I had more time to give, because like Safe Harbor Homeless Shelter, for example, financially they're okay right now. Could they use more funds? Absolutely. But what they really need is help with people. That's a overnight gig. They usually need 2 to 4 people for the overnights, and let's face it, it's not getting any warmer outside, and this is their busy season. So if you are listening to this and you have some time for one night a week, or 2 nights a week, whatever, give them a shout and get with them and really try to see what you can do there, because that's what they need right now more than money, is they need time. So
how about the fact that we're talking about looking for volunteers to man a homeless shelter in Manistee?
Yeah,
But the reason why I say that is I'm born and raised in Manistee, been here my whole life. And when I was younger, at least the homeless population here, from what you could see outside, was one dude.
Yeah.
His name was Roger.
Yeah.
And, and it was only because he was schizophrenic. He had a place to live.
Right.
Right? And now it seems like it's just, what are we, why is it, I mean, I think that's like a reoccurring question is why, and everybody says, well, it's mental health or it's addiction or whatever, but like the way that it's grown in the past 30 years just seems like, and in fact, since COVID, I feel like it's got even more. Yeah,
I don't, there's really not a one-size-fits-all answer for that. I think you're spot on there, because if you go and spend some time and just talk to some of the people that are at the shelter that, there's the mental health side of it. There's, addiction. That'll always be there. I firmly believe that. But, there's different situations, a medical bill or, a death in the family or whatever. I mean, there's so many different scenarios that have led to that, I'm thankful that I've never had to face that myself. But, my grandmother, the reason why she's so passionate about it was she was a teen mom, and she lived out of her car, and she worked her way from the bottom up from that aspect, from being homeless to being an RN and being able to raise her family. So, I don't know why that's grown here, but I think you're seeing it across the country.
Right.
So I think until we can come up with a solution, which, it sounds like, Mark Miller and the chamber and everybody are working on some, I believe you talked with them a little bit about it on, an income-based housing projects that they're putting together here in Manistee, so some of that will help, I believe. Life is just expensive. You run businesses and see what stuff costs, and consumers are feeling that as well. I don't have the answer for how to fix it. I just know that right now that I'm just thankful we have that resource here for people to go to.
100%.
And my goal now is to help sustain that resource so it doesn't go away, because if it goes away, then what? What's the answer then? So, I don't know.
Yeah, you had commented on one of my posts about, I think your goal for 2024 was to raise $100,000.
Yeah. Yep.
How are we going to do that?
Well,
because we try to give as much as possible. So we'll give, family-wise, like from our family, we will give what we can afford.
Right.
And then I lean on the events that we put together, my business partners and I, to try to, help fundraise and to also provide some of the proceeds for. But it's never, I've always had a goal. Like I had a goal last year. Cumulatively, my goal was $10,000.
Okay.
And we were just a little shy of $10,000.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fucking work to get up to $10,000. There's a lot of door knocking and asking people for money, and that's hard. It's hard to ask, and and for a lot of people, like we're talking about right now, it's hard to give.
Correct.
Especially when you get hit all the time.
Yeah. Well, so a plan of action for that would be roughly right now we average right around 50 to 55, maybe even close to 60 some years right now, just through our Charity of the Month program and different fundraisers that we do. Something that's big on my heart for 2024, and I has always been big on my heart, is the veterans. I'm looking to really try to figure out a way to help veterans who need vehicle repairs. It's insane how many times, we had one last week. Gentleman came in, Vietnam vet, currently just works his time, donating his time actually for a pet shelter, and needed $400 worth of work on his vehicle so he'd have heat. Pretty essential right now.
Yeah.
My Scott Green, my service writer, service manager, he's the face that you see when you come in the door. One of the most kind-hearted guys I know. He just really has a big heart for people, and that's why he's in the position he's in. But he comes in and tells me this story with tears in his eyes because he genuinely cares about people, and we make that happen for him. So between Charities of the Month, stuff like that, I'd really like to partner in some events. I'd really like to. We have that big asphalt parking lot now. I envision doing a car show with some of the car clubs in the area, just because it ties into our industry.
Yeah.
But years ago, I was a part of an event, a community give back event, and we found people to donate food, and you get some bounce houses and stuff like that, and kind of put on like a little carnival. I'm hoping to put something like that on this summer. I don't have a date picked yet. That's still in the works. But just through some events like that and some partnering with some other companies, we're fortunate to work with some large part suppliers, and they're often wondering what they can do. So in our Charity of the Month program has drawn their attention. So I'm really working on a match. So it's a lofty goal.
Sure.
It's a lofty goal. I'm not gonna say that, but I always like to set big goals, and then even if I miss, typically it would have turned out bigger than what I had originally went for. So through those events, I'm hoping for 100,000. We'll see. But again, if anybody's listening to this and you got a business and you want to get involved, 100% of that money goes. It's not like the March of Dimes or something like that, where 10% of the dollars going to the actual charity. It's all 1%. Going to it's all going to the charity. So you got to make money in business to stay open, obviously, but at the same time, I'm 32 years old. I'm gonna be doing this a long time. I anticipate many years of taking care of people in the community, and that's kind of the why we do it, not just what we do. It's what else we do.
I like it.
So yeah.
You ever think about buying a franchise or staying in the lane that you're kind of in with used cars and service?
Oh, going like a store?
Yeah.
Yeah. Truth be told, if I were to pick a brand that I would even consider doing that, it would be like Toyota. I like not being tied down to one brand. I gravitate towards Toyotas and Subarus. That's kind of what I gravitate towards. That being said, I drive a Ram pickup truck, so I don't know. I think, honestly, if that ever became an A-store, it would be somebody buying me out of it, which isn't off the table down the road. I don't...
You'd be foolish to think that you're not building something to sell it.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that to everybody at all my businesses.
Yeah. Good entrepreneurs, that's what they do,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you real well, but I can tell just from watching your videos and everything else that you're a dreamer like me, and you're one of the rare people that, it takes a lot of guts to go be an entrepreneur, and a lot of times stuff doesn't get past an idea. We're the type of people that we get an idea, and now it's like, all right, how do I put pen to paper and see how this idea makes sense, or if it's even feasible. So I guess in a way, I am growing it to sell it someday. I have a 16-year-old son, he just turned 16, and he doesn't know what he wants to do yet in life, but maybe someday that could be something for him to carry on. But as of right now, that the goal right now is to just keep taking care of my people. I mean, that's my favorite part of being a business owner thus far, is just watching guys that have been with me for a long time set goals, achieve those goals. And there's speed bumps along the way, but one of my guys who's been with me over 10 years, or been with our company over 10 years, just bought his first house. Nice. To see him buy his first house, that's big. That's huge. And just now, when I got there was no health care. We didn't have health care. We didn't have vacation pay. The benefits were lacking a little bit. And now we have all those things, and they're a great asset to it. And when you take care of your employees take care of the customers. And so when they feel like they're taken care of, they go the extra distance. And it's just nice. We have a HSA program now for our guys, so it's been cool in the past where someone would scratch their glasses and money would be tight and they wouldn't go get their glasses. Now they just go get their glasses because the money's there. So that's my why of why I'm doing what I'm doing, because some days, and I'm sure that at some point you've ran into this, where you're just like, I would make a really great employee for somebody. I could probably just go kill it for somebody. But then on the outside, I've grown up with an entrepreneurial spirit. My mom's been a business owner for 32 years. She's got a kids' clothing store in Ludington. So I don't see myself doing that ever, just because I enjoy what I do. But ADD, I get all over the place.
I get it, man. I know people that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I got a couple of friends that are in the millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
And but they're grinding.
Yeah.
And they're working for somebody else, and you can And I've got friends that make like $25K a year, and they're living in a fucking ski lodge someplace.
Loving life.
And loving life.
Yeah.
Absolutely loving it. So it's a perspective thing, you know. I mean, for sure, I could go kill it for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I've done that in the past.
Yeah.
But I kind of like doing 100% of the hours on my own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Well, and I found a lot of times when I get the most stressed out or mentally I'm not in a good space, it's usually because I'm trying to want too much.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of times if I can just simplify and step back a little bit and, you know, one of my favorite quotes is where comparison starts, gratitude ends.
I like that.
And I think that's something I'm constantly trying to self-reflect on, is that, you know, you may not need that newest, nicest thing. Just be thankful for what you got. And I find that's when I'm the most happy, is when I just simplify a little bit. So, you know, that's why I say I don't plan. We have 5 acres there. I could get real nuts. I could get nuts. There's lots of space. I mean, the bank's been really great with me.
Township been good to you?
Yeah. You know, I like working out in Parkdale Township. It's cool to see the growth happening out there. You know,
Culver's.
Oh,
I mean, let's get nuts. Let's get wild.
Let's bring on the Butterburgers, I guess. Truth be told, I haven't eaten at a Culver's in over 10 years.
I've never eaten at one.
I think I ate at one like after a high school baseball tournament or something back up in the day in Traverse City. But any type of growth is good growth. You know, there's a house across the street, directly across the street from my lot, that's turning into a cat sanctuary.
You
want to talk about some wild stuff? They came in and asking for a donation. And they bought a house on foreclosure, and they are...
Are you being for real? It's like a legit sanctuary?
Oh, yeah. They connected the house to the garage. They got the money from a grant to buy the house, and it's a cat sanctuary. So you want to talk about some ruffle and feathers, and I told my wife this morning I was going to be careful when I came on this podcast, because I try not to ruffle too many feathers, but like, we have homeless people in this town, and we're building a cat sanctuary. And not that I don't love cats. I got one. His name's Buckshot. He's awesome. You know, but that's going in right across the street from me right now. The Amish have been over there building on that and getting it ready to go. And I guess it's going to be like an indoor-outdoor run, and they'll have people stop there 2-3 times a day to feed them and take care of them. But I'm excited for real growth in that area.
That's stupid. They need to get rid of that already. I can say it.
Okay.
They're fucking cats.
Well, I had to figure out the most PC way to be like, I'm sorry, you're not going to be one of my charities of the month. There's other things I prioritize over that. But, you know, hopefully with the school out there that they can get that cleaned up. And, you know, Culver's coming in definitely dresses it up a little bit. Lane down there at Memory Lane Detailing has done a great job with that building. That looks beautiful.
Put a lot of money into that thing.
I know what stuff costs to build, so I commend them, and that's a lot of work and a lot of investment, and that's what, you know, since COVID, that's one thing that's really been on my heart, is just trying to get people to take a step back a little bit. We're so quick to jump online and bash some business because...
Well, I'm bashing the cats. Like,
that's one thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you have a poor communication with an employee at some business, and, you know, at Meijer, for example, a checkout person was rude to you.
I think I know what you're talking about, but anyways.
People just bash, you know, and they don't realize the amount of, like, investment and time and stress that comes with that. So, like, talking about with what Lane's done out there, you know, that guy's put a lot of money into this community, and he's really going for it. And so I'm a fan of people like that.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of people who have the guts to go for it, and just don't talk about it, they be about it.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, yeah, I like that. A fan of people that are out there doing it, for sure. You know, because you can, I mean, as you can probably imagine, I get my fair share of, like, some bullshit online. Probably, but for the most part, it's because I put out a ton of content. And people like to talk, whatever, so it comes with the territory. I don't read a lot of comments, but it is funny to see somebody that's out there trying to do something, like new business, just whatever. New business B comes to town, and it's like this person that had a dream, like we were just talking about, had a dream. That dream went to paper. That paper went to the bank, and the bank said, I like your dream, dude.
Yeah.
You should do that dream. So then they open up that dream, and then people just bash the shit out of it.
Just shit on it.
because it's not their drain.
Yeah. Or they think something else should have been there. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw it with the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like you can go down the line. I mean, there's a lot of things that a town needs. Truth be told, like you just said, you've never ate at a Culver's. Everyone was like, "Oh man, a Culver's come to town." I'm like, "Woo, big deal!" Like bring me an Applebee's or something. Like just not even that I love Applebee's, but just something. I mean, as a person that lives out or works out there, we need some food out on the Parkdale side of town.
I think that's where it's going to happen eventually.
I'm banking on it.
I mean, you put 276 units, livable units into that school.
Yeah.
That could be as many as 1,000 mouths to feed, depending on how many people live in each unit.
Yeah.
Right? They're not one bedrooms.
Right.
So they're going to. So surveys, companies are going to come in and say, all right, well, there's a Culver's here now, but like maybe an Applebee's or a Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that.
Something like that would be
sick,
awesome.
dude.
Or a Lucky Steakhouse. Go to Gaylord and have Lucky Steakhouse. There's like 8 of them in the state.
Yeah.
Best steakhouse you've ever eaten at. I mean, there's anything on that side of town is needed, especially with like the 31 Bridge being out right now.
Yeah, it's a joke.
For us to go to get lunch somewhere, like I mean, the big joke when I was coming here was Scott's like, all right, you're on the other side of the bridge. Call me when you're done. Let's get some like Painted Lady or something. Let's get something from that.
Scott.
2 slices, something. We need something from that side of town. So, yeah, I mean, this town has a lot of great stuff to offer, and I'd really like to encourage people. That's one thing I've noticed as a little bit of an outsider of Manistee, I guess, coming in, is that I want people to realize that anybody trying to do something here is worth trying.
Yeah.
And if it gets to the point of someone getting a door opened, there's been a lot of checks and balances to get to that point, which as well as I do. I mean, I'm thankful for the bankers that we have in this area that I have relationships with, because for the most part, if I've had a crazy idea, I take it to them. They say, well, bring me a business model that shows, a business plan. Show me how it's going to work.
The numbers work.
I'd love to be able to do car rentals again here. That's something that's super needed in this town.
So you're not renting cars right now?
No, I got rid of them during COVID, and I haven't brought them back. And I get calls for it all the time. The reason why I don't do it was I kept having people destroy them. You buy a brand new car.
I rented a van from you for a bachelor party, dude. It was clutch.
Yeah, I mean, and I get the need for it, and that's why it bugs me that I'm not doing it. But at the same time, the liability insurance on rental cars is absolutely astronomical.
I got it. I bet it's dumb.
It's got to have its own separate entity. It's just like my carrier for my umbrella policy for the repair shop's like, no. You can have loaners, no rentals. So I'm trying to navigate that. Greg at Victoria in there has been doing that. He picked it up when I left it off, and he's really ramped his up, and so that's been nice. Now I can ship people down to him. But look at the price of cars. I'm not trying to rent out a 100,000-mile car because I don't want people to have problems while they're renting it. So you're buying new cars or next to new cars. So between the payments for them, the insurance, and just the damage. I mean, I bought a brand new Malibu and I got no smoking stickers in them, and the first person that rents it smokes in it and puts a hole through the center console. It's like, come on, But
the smoking cars, dude.
Well, it is what it is. People don't respect everything always. So
they don't understand how the value dropped. Well, I mean, maybe today it doesn't drop as much because of the prices of cars.
You've sold cars. If a person doesn't smoke cigarettes and they walk up, open the door, and it smells like a cigarette tray, they're not buying it. I don't care how good you are. They're not buying it. So, yeah, it's just I like to see people be a little more positive about, and I think that's what I like about your content is you really try to keep it on the positive and on the up and up, and support Manistee's growth. We live in a beautiful area. I mean, the channel, the boardwalk here in Manistee. I'm so pumped. We're talking fishing. I have a salmon boat. This will be my first year keeping it in Manistee. I'm keeping it at Harbor Village.
Nice.
And so I'm looking to really getting to enjoy the boardwalk here more. I love Taco About it. I love there's a lot of places that I love downtown. So I'm looking forward to really just kind of seeing that continue to grow. But like people need to realize, like on social media and stuff, when someone's bringing a business and you get on there and you just start bashing them, I think twofold. One, social media has made people really comfortable with saying shit that they would never walk up to you and say.
No.
You wouldn't walk up to somebody in a bar and they're opening a business and be like, you're a jackass. That's a dumb idea. But on the internet,
Yeah.
They're super tough, But the other flip side to that is how many investors are looking at Manistee, and then they go on and they see how much flack these places get for trying to start, and they might just go, you know what, I'm going to go pick Frankfurt or wherever. So I'd really just like to encourage people to keep it positive.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is just like, you're really like taking a big steamer on top of somebody's dream when you.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
Yeah, I can remember when we bought this property and started gradually, like slowly promoting it as a liquor store.
Yep.
The amount of negative comments that started flying in. Just, we don't need another liquor store or another. We don't have any liquor stores. I'm the liquor store.
Yeah.
We have grocery stores and gas stations that sell pints.
Yep.
But anyways, it was a lot. And at first I'm like, Jesus Christ. I tell my wife, I'm like, I don't know how much business we're going to get. People don't seem to like this idea, But it's so I can see how that feeds into other people.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I've had a lot of ideas, and I still do. I've got some business ideas that I'd really like to try, but they're more on the industrial side. And that's interesting because this has kind of been an industry town for a long time.
Yeah.
My grandmother lives down by Painted Lady in that area. And look at all the development that's been there throughout the years with Morton and PCA and Martin Marietta on the other side of the lake. And, I think that fits this town really well. Tourism is going to either be embraced or it's not, and I think it's going to have to be embraced. Manistee's kind of getting force-fed tourism right now.
Yeah.
But you go up and down the shoreline, whether you're in Muskegon or Pentwater or Ludington or here or Frankfurt, whatever, Arcadia, we have such beautiful. That was one thing about traveling in the oil business that really just made me appreciate where I live and where I've grown up. Because, I've been to some cool places, but they never felt like home.
Right.
This has always been home. So, I think we're just going to continue to see that growth here, and I hope people learn to embrace it.
Yeah, we kind of hit the lottery for, as far as being able to live where we live.
Yeah.
On the shoreline of Lake Michigan.
Yeah. I know 6 to 10 inches of snow are coming tomorrow night, and that's not fun when you got cars on the lot cleaning them all off. Yeah. But it's not
going cars, dude.
It's not going to kill you. You know what I mean? It's not a hurricane. It's not a tornado. It's nothing like that. For the most part, we're pretty lucky to live where we live. We deal with the cold. That's that's those memes online, or why we live where the wind hurts our face. So, I feel really lucky to be here, and I'm thankful to have the opportunity to serve Manistee County. I really am. At first I was the Ludington guy, and that controversy between Manistee and Ludington is still alive and well, which is awesome in a lot of ways because you don't see it anymore in the rivalry games and stuff like that. But Manistee's really embraced me, and so I've really embraced them, and I feel at home here now. And a lot of that's just going to the chamber events and the guys' nights, and hanging out with guys like Sandstead because he knows everybody.
Yeah.
And that's just, there's so many knowledgeable people in this town that if you just kind of shut up and start to listen, you learn a lot. One of the first lessons I learned when I moved here to run this business and have this business was from Les, and he's like, manage expectations. That's the name of the game with your business. And he's spot on, and so that's a lot of what I do. I try to just make sure, hey, you're buying a $9,000 car. We're not buying a $50,000 car. Yeah. I've made it as good as I can right now. Everything checks out, but just managing that expectation, because that's the name of the game in our industry, for sure.
The selling of an as-is vehicle.
Oh, yay.
You have to be a very confident salesperson and look at the customer and be like, I'm going to tell you one more time, this is as is. If the second you leave here, do not fucking call me.
Yeah. I'm going to give you an example where that's not always true. We sold one a couple weeks ago that it had a radiator leak. We replaced the radiator before we sold it.
See, so you did service work on it.
Yeah. Oh, I service everything, even if it is as is. I still service everything.
Because there are a lot of dealerships that be like, if we're going to sell this as is, we're not touching anything in it.
I rewrote the mold. it's a good and bad thing that I've never worked at an A store. I've never worked at a car dealership other than the one that I started.
Yeah, most A stores are not touching it. If it's as is, they're not gonna.
Right.
They're gonna clean it, and that's it.
And our policy is if it's over 10 years old or if it's over 100,000 miles, it's as is. Doesn't mean it's not serviced.
Sure.
You're still getting free oil changes for a year because we do that on every vehicle. You're still going to get a full tank of gas when you buy it. It's just past 10 years and past 100,000 miles, I don't know. I can tell you that nothing's loose in the front end. Nothing's leaking. Tires are good. Brakes are good. Shift's good. Run's good. That's what I can tell you. But when something might let go, I don't have a glass ball or crystal ball to let you know when that's going to happen. So we combat that by having extended warranties that we can sell and stuff like that. One thing that I'm really proud of is we're not pushy. I don't go on test drives with people. I always hated going on a test drive and having a salesman barking in my ear. I hated when I pull on a car lot. It's like walking into Best Buy and all these people flock to you. I don't like that. So primarily Anna Foster Smith sells cars for us. She's it, and she's phenomenal. She's perfect for our niche of what we sell, because you can come in dressed to the nines in a suit, or you can come in your pajama pants, and she's going to treat you the same way. She's just a kind person. She's an informative salesperson, which is what I like to be. You've probably been trained in car sales, and I know a lot, and I've learned more from people that I've hired throughout the years, but there's like, how many times can you get a person to say yes?
There's always that.
There's all these, it's screwing them up in the head and, just mind tricking them into buying a car.
And that's why people have the, they look at car salesmen,
car
dealerships as people that are out to take from them because of the history in the car industry.
Yeah. Well, and listen, that stereotype's there for a reason, because it's there. I mean, you go to certain places, especially you get in some of the bigger cities, it gets real bad. But, we're pretty blessed with good places around here. I've got a pretty good relationship with a lot of the people that work at the other lots in the area. And, Cody Watson, I called him 2 weeks ago because he had a vehicle for a customer that needed it, and I didn't have it, and I couldn't find it, and I just said, here, be your easiest sale of the day. Call this guy. It's sold. I've already told him the price. And
Cody's good shit.
And like Greg at Victorian, he's been so good to me since the beginning of this, since I started. I even called him during COVID, because when we were able to open back up, prior to that, I had never really dabbled in the off-lease cars. I always joked around and said that was his sandbox, and I would stay in mine and be in the, under 20,000. And then you couldn't go to an auction. Everything was virtual, and it was all pictures and buying online.
That's
and
tough.
You can't see smoke, so you don't know if it's smoked in. Well, if you get into the later model vehicles on these auction sites, you get more information. So eventually I called him and was like, hey, I'm just letting you know, that's all I can buy right now. And he was like, I get it, totally good. So there's so many good people in this town. You just got to really, pay attention and grasp onto people and be open-minded about it, and you learn a lot real quick.
What are the next moves for you? Where do you see Parkdale Auto in the next 5 years to a decade?
5 years to a decade.
And the impact that you want to have on the community.
I realistically need to hire 2 more people immediately. But then I'm capped out of real estate of what I currently have. I'd have to build on, but that's not really a big plan of mine right now. I'm going to continue to refine our service process to be smoother. Parts is our number one challenge. Inventory is our number one.
I can imagine.
It's just stuff's on back order, national back order. I mean, I just had a truck that I bought 8 weeks ago, and it needed an intake, and it was on national back order. It took me 8 weeks to get it. Now the book value dropped $2,000.
Yeah.
So that's where people have this mindset that we're making $5,000-$6,000 on a car, and a lot of times the profit margin's better on a drink like this, But for 5 to 10 years from now, I'm really intrigued by the used car part market. I can't think. Merrick's in Ludington went out of business in the last recent few years. That took a big chunk of used parts out. They got Gene's up in Traverse City and Auto Ranch there in Scottville, but I'm really intrigued by the used parts market. We already have a scrap license, so if people have a junk car and they don't know what to do with it, and it's just, your wife's yelling at you because it's been in the front yard, you can call us and we'll come get it out of there. And so I like having those options for people because there's a lot of the demographic in this area. There's a lot of people that you come in and they don't need the most expensive fix. They just, how can you get me so I can get to work?
Right.
So we've bought pipe benders so we can do custom exhausts and not have to buy a whole exhaust system. And I think used parts is the natural next segue for us. Because, if you come in and your 16-year-old kid has a car that's all beat up because they've hit every snowbank, but the alternator's gone out, and like today, for example, I quoted one for somebody they were doing a new alternator. Just the part was like $380. I was able to get them a used one for $60.
Yeah.
So that $300 savings on that car repair is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my natural segue for that. One of the things that I am excited that we're doing is that we bought the train from the American Legion that's been in the parade all these years.
No shit.
It's rough. It's really rough. It's not been well loved over the years, but we are looking at trying to get that back together and back on the road and in the parades.
Nice.
We want to put the veterans in it and do the parades. But that is and I should have looked before I came down here because I planned on talking about it a little bit, but it's a old Studebaker. On the title, it's actually listed as a Studebaker, and the model is tank, is what it's listed as. Studebaker, as far as I've done my research, never really made what was called a tank. So I've had to do a little bit of digging. Okay. Probably ultimately going to end up putting it on a whole different frame, like an F-350 frame.
Sick.
And doing a complete build. And I'm sure Badger, who works for us, will have that all on his YouTube page because he's a big YouTuber and
I'll have to check that out.
He took a turbo off of one of my Cummins diesels and put it on a '99 town car, and that spawned this whole big build. And now he's got a town car that is stupid fast.
Nice.
So we're gonna do some stuff with the train. We've teamed up with Greg from the Pro Shop at Striketown, the bowling store there. That was on his heart to help make that process go together, so he teamed up with us, and we got that bought. And so now we're just trying to figure out the most financial smart way to get it to where it needs to be, but it's got to be safe, right? So you're going to have people riding on it. So that's something that's in the works. The used parts will be in the next 5 to 10 years. Other than that, I'm just going to keep loving on my employees and my customers, and we'll eventually be doing our community days again every summer like we've done in the past, just the community appreciation days. I love to cook.
Oh, so speak to that. What do you do for those days?
Oh, we just usually have a big cookout on those days. Every Wednesday, it's kind of spawned because every Wednesday I feed my whole staff. We call it Parkdale Cafe. We got a Blackstone, we got a grill and stuff there, and
that's cool.
That started probably 4 or 5 years ago, just as something that we all like to eat. And there's not a lot of food over in Parkdale, so a lot of times we'll grill up on Wednesdays for lunch, and we've smoked turkeys, we've smoked chickens, we do a little bit of everything, grilled burgers, whatever. If Ray Latham, if you listen to this, he ate a $25,000 steak.
Shout out to Ray.
He
good shit. He ate a what?
He stopped by one day just to get an oil change, and he was hanging out by the grill and happened to see one in detail. And to this day, he said it was the most expensive steak he's ever had because he sold himself an enclave while he was eating a steak. But so we cook every Wednesday, and once a summer we're going to do an appreciation day. It's just something that I like to do. We have a slew of customers. And that's why I laugh when I have someone say they didn't know we work on cars, because like for the last 3 years, we've worked on roughly 3,800 cars a year.
That's a lot.
We turn cars, and so that's created a lot of great customers, and it's just fun to give them an opportunity to come back and just be at the shop for a good reason. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're kind of like the dentist. You can like your dentist, but you don't want to see them very often. Right. So I get that feeling when someone says, "Hopefully, I don't see you for a while," when they're walking out the door, because that means their car's running good. But that's just. I love life. I want to keep living life and loving life, and
I get that vibe from you, brother.
I think people get too worried about stuff they can't control, and I want to not look back 10 years from now and think I worried about stuff too much. I just want to kind of live life and do what we do and enjoy it. Look. Just think about like where the last 10 years went.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I can't believe I've already been here almost a decade up here in Manistee working. So I just look forward to embracing life and living life and serving the community in the process. And if I can do all those things, I'll be a happy guy.
And play a little music.
I'm going to play as much music as my wife will let me.
Nice.
For sure.
Man, thanks a lot for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's get you to sign the board, dude.
All right, sounds good.
That was great.
Oh, just trying not to take out your light.
You're fine.